Hey guys, I'm popping on here today because I wanted to talk to you a little bit this week about habits. It's the theme that we are working on with some of my clients this week. And I've talked to a lot of people recently who have either created some bad habits over the summer that they are looking to break, or if you're like me and you still have this mentality that the start of the school year is similar to the start of the new year and you make a new school year resolution. I did this like every year when I was in education, and I still do it in September because it seems like a good time to get back into some of these better habits and routines. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit today about what is going on with habits. And I really want you all to hear this today. You cannot think away a habit, okay? Habits are muscle memory. What's happening when we are in these habits is this is actually coming from our nervous system. These are deep ingrained things that are happening in our brain. So let me give you an example. Over the summer, I may or may not have acquired this every afternoon cookie habit. I'm going to blame my husband for that one because he keeps bringing home the Numinos with the peanut butter on the inside. Oh my God, you guys, if you haven't had those, I don't want to get you all into a bad habit, but let me just say that they're amazing. So anyway, he keeps bringing home these Numinos, and I at 3:30, 4 o'clock, I'm going to eat a cookie, right? So I keep eating these cookies every afternoon, and I now at 4 o'clock every day, my body is oh, you need to go eat a cookie. And the reason I'm having these urges is because I have basically trained my brain into thinking that I need these cookies for survival. I know that sounds crazy, but give me a second. So hear me out. Okay, our nervous systems thrive on repetition and consistency. So I have been repeating this habit on a regular basis. I've been pretty consistent about it. And so over time, when we do these things, our lizard brain still thinks that anything we do over time, anything that we repeat on a regular basis is necessary for survival. Okay, so now I've basically trained my brain into thinking that I need a cookie every afternoon for survival. And so you have to really start to get out of these habits. And the problem here is that we can know all of this information, right? I am a freaking wellness coach, for crying out loud. I know a lot about the gut-brain connection. I know exactly what happens to me when I eat that cookie. I know exactly what kind of a sugar crash I'm going to get. I know exactly how it's going to impact my mood, and yet I still do it. Okay, and it's because I've now created this habit, and that habit is coming from a part of my brain that is trying to get me to survive. Okay, so you can't think your way out of a habit. So you can know all this stuff, but you still fall back into these old habits. And especially this habit happens a lot when we are scared, or when we are nervous, or when we are anxious, which a lot of us might be right now because the new school year has brought up a lot of anxiety, I know, for parents and for kids and things like that. So let me give you another example. So I started riding a bike. I don't know, I probably learned to ride a bike when I was 6 or 7, and I started mountain biking in my 20s. So I had about 20-ish, 18 to 20 years of riding a bike under my belt before I started mountain biking. And in mountain biking, when you were going down a hill, the very last thing you want to do is grab your front brake, because when you grab your front brake, your tire stops and it catapults you over, and that's not good. Okay, so, but what happens is, it took me a really, really, really long time to get out of this habit. And even now, when I'm going down a trail that is pretty technical or pretty scary, pretty steep, I still have to talk to myself, and I have to be get off the front brake, get off the front brake. Because even though I've been mountain biking for probably 15 years, I still fall into these old ingrained habits that I had when I first started learning how to ride a bike. Okay, and I still have to talk to myself and be get off the front brake, get off the front brake, you're fine. And I'm literally talking to myself the whole way down the trail. People probably think I'm crazy, but that's okay, right? So this happens, and so we have these habits that are old and ingrained, and we fall back into them, especially in times when we are stressed. So right now, if we're in this pandemic, or the kids are going back to school, or whatever is stressing you out, just whatever things you're juggling, right? We fall back into these old ingrained habits, even though we know on a mind level, we know that the things that we are doing are not serving us. on a physical level, on a cellular level, we are still embodying our old habits and our old routine. And in yoga, this is called samskaras. These are like considered like grooves. So if you think about, you walk a path enough times and you make the path wider and you make the path deeper, the same thing happens with our nervous system. The more we repeat something, the more the nervous system wants to continue to repeat that action. So you have to understand that this is muscle memory here that you are creating. So similarly, like if you are someone who has gone to school for anything, you know that the first couple years, probably when you first got out of school, it took you a while to get into the groove of your job. So I know this definitely happened for me when I was a teacher, or especially like as a yoga teacher, right? I got out of yoga teaching and you get better over the years because you learn different techniques, and there are certain things that you say and certain things that you embody and certain things that you get into these, again, these unconscious habits, and it becomes muscle memory. So what you need to do to break a habit, here is where I'm going to give you this little jewel, you guys. Okay, so what you need to do, and actually we're not really going to talk about breaking habits today. I'm going to talk more about making habits, because I think that at least at this part of the year, like a lot of times people are trying to get back into some of those healthy habits to kick off the school year, so to speak. Or if you're just getting into the habit of like your morning routine, for example, like how do you get the kids out the door on time? Or if you're a teacher, like how do you get yourself out of the door on time with all the things that you need? And you're probably creating new habits because now you're like, oh, I've got to bring like 17 masks to school because I need one for like every class period or whatever that is. Okay. So when you are creating a new habit, what you have to do is you have to create the muscle memory. Okay. You cannot just think to yourself, I'm going to get up at this time, and I know I need to get up at this time, and I know I need to do all this stuff. You guys, forever and ever, I thought I was going to wake up at like 5 a.m. and do yoga and meditate and all this stuff before I went to school. And then I would hit my alarm until I had exactly like 20 minutes. And we were talking about this. I was talking about this with my friend Tanya just last night or just a couple nights ago, right? You hit the alarm because you have just that, you know exactly that 20 minutes that it takes you to get out the door. So even though you have all these good intentions, you fall back into these old habits. So if you want to make a new habit, your first step in doing that is setting an alarm. You are going to become like a Pavlovian dog when you do this, okay? So get your phone out, set an alarm. So think about what you want to be, what habit you want to create. All right. For me, the habit that I want to create, or that I often have to remind myself to do, is drinking water. I'm terrible about drinking water throughout the day. So I will often set a water alarm for 3 or 4 times throughout the day. And when that water alarm goes off, not only do I drink the water, but I will also take 5 or 10 breaths throughout the day. Okay. And what eventually happens, this happened a lot when I was in the schools because we had bells going off all the time. Anytime I would hear the bell go off, I would be like, oh, I need to drink water. So the bell for passing periods, right? But now I'm not working in the schools, I'm working at home. And so now I set an alarm, but I'm basically like, you know, like the Pavlovian dog, like Pavlov's dogs, when they started drooling when they heard the bell. It's basically what happens. So I have certain times throughout the day. It's the same time every day because, again, you want that consistency and routine. So whatever habit you're trying to create, set an alarm on your phone, set it for the same time every day, and then continue that habit. And you might start to notice, similarly to like if you've ever woken up, you know, if you set your alarm for 6 o'clock and you start waking up like a few weeks later, you start waking up at 5:57, 5:58, because your body just knows that your alarm is about to go off and it's time to wake up. Same thing will start to happen, right? So maybe you set the alarm for 10 a.m. and you're like, I'm going to drink some water, I'm going to take 10 breaths. Well, maybe at like 9:55, you're like, oh, I really am feeling thirsty right now. I feel like I need to take a breath and move my body and start to breathe. So your goal today is to start to create some new habits and to start to set an alarm. Seriously, set an alarm, make it a sound that you can listen to. Don't make it like some crazy fire alarm, but make it like a nice, peaceful alarm. And then see what happens over the next few weeks as you start to create some of these new habits. So definitely let me know how this goes for you. I would love to hear how this goes for you. So you can always drop a comment. You can message me, put a message on my wall. You can send me a DM or whatever, but let me know how this goes with your habits. Hope you all have a great day and happy Wellness Wednesday.